Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to Beast Quest. Series 27, Book 4, Gargantua the Silent Assassin. And here we have another book with Beast Quest, and it's time for the finale of Series 27. So, like always, in-depth story analysis and my overall thoughts on this epic adventure. So if you haven't already, make sure you've read this book before watching this review. And with that being said, let's wrap up Series 27. After defeating Raptex, our heroes talk to Loris, who explains about Caradon, and that if he joins with the remains of Gargantua, he'll be even more powerful. He'll be even more powerful than he is now. So our heroes race off to the final location, Stonewind. Our heroes reach the volcano where Gargantua is supposed to be, and encounter Epos under the control of Caradon. As being master of the beasts, both Tom and Caradon, each of them control three of the original six beasts of Avantia, while Tom has the other half, obviously. Anyway, our heroes get into a scuffle, ending off with a killing blow coming from Epos. Luckily, our heroes defeat Epos, forcing Caradon into retreat. While Elenna stays to heal Epos, Tom attempts to finish this quest once and for all. However, he arrives too late as Caradon has reached Gargantua's body and begins the resurrection. This also unlocks a new form for Caradon, setting him up for a big duel between the two. Caradon and Tom go at it, but despite his new powers, along with the additional powers boosts he gets from Tom and Elena's victories over the beast they took out, Caradon was still killed off by Tom with a powerful sword slice, cutting off his Caradon's arm with the ring on it, and turning the evil prince to dust. However, by the time Tom did kill Caradon, Gargantua was fully restored and tempted Tom with an offer of darkness. Sadly, the offer worked, and Tom returns evil mode to Eleanor's horror. Yeah, that must be shocking for Eleanor, seeing evil Tom once again after Series 24. She does her best to fight him off and gets her friend and tries to get her friend back. And after some back and forth, both physically and emotionally, Tom struggles to resist the ring's power and wants Eleanor to leave because he's trying to fight the ring and he's trying to give her time. Eleanor refuses, and seeing a moment she needed, she helps Tom pull off the ring. Gargantua attacks, enraged at her plan failing. All heroes get pummeled, and Tom thinks about putting the dark ring back on so he can gain more power to defeat Gargantua. But Eleanor says no, showing that despite the fact that they need more power to prevail over Gargantua, she'd rather have Tom be himself than seeing that dark version of him again, which I can't blame her, like I said, after Series 24. However, of course, Gargantua is too much for Tom, and of course he gets crushed, so he's at killing point. Epos comes to the rescue, going into a beast brawl, which I won't say much about, as that's more of Adam's job than mine, Adam Burns to be exact. However, it ends with Epos sacrificing herself to defeat Gargantua, which is very sad and tragic. But of course, the sacrifice wasn't in vain, as it did do the trick. Gargantua was defeated, and the ring was destroyed. A funeral was made for the beast's noble sacrifice to save Avantia, and this also meant Epos's healing talent would no longer work. However, after putting out Epos's funeral torch, it reignited with the hint that she could have survived, or perhaps that there's because she's a phoenix, so she might survive, or that she had an egg, so there will be a new phoenix beast to replace that. But yeah, so there is an offer that So I'm not sure if Epos is still alive or there's a new one. Does that mean that the healing talent works? I'm not really sure about that part. But yeah, there's the story analysis portion, and yeah. Overall, easily no question about it. On a story perspective, you can easily see why this would be the best one. Gargantua being another a reminder of Series 24 for the offer of Tom's darkness. Karen gets his full-on arc wrapped up. And of course, Eleanor gets a moment to shine, as well as Epos. So overall, when it comes to a character proportion, it's going to be really good there. And I think I was going to say, there wasn't really a side character in this book compared to other ones, so I guess that side character role goes to Epos herself, really, which is an interesting change. Normally it's a human being. Well, we'll put Epos in there for that role. So, starting off with our main character, of course, Tom. Tom, of course, got the more moment to shine than this one, I would say, by a bit, because while Elenna did help him out with that hint, and it was very close, I would say Tom got a bit more of the weight than Elenna did on this one. Of course, he goes in to try and beat Carradine once and for all, while Elenna deals with Epos and tries to heal him, or her. I think Epos is a girl, yeah, pretty sure. But yeah, so Tom tries to face off Carradine, and of course it goes as well as you expect for a bit until Tom manages to get the upper hand, and of course he's reminded of the temptation of darkness by Gargantua, and it is haunting to see that again. But of course, Elenna manages to help him through it, and there is a point in this book where we all know Gargantua is obviously going to be like a very powerful opponent, and Tom could have Tom's thinking, if I put the ring back on, I could gain that dark power again, and I could use the dark power to be able to defeat Gargantua, which is probably what she probably wants, which I wouldn't be surprised. But of course, Eleanor's like, no, I don't want that again. I do appreciate that. Her character, she would rather have Tom be himself than have him gain the power he needs to possibly kill Gargantua, because that power comes with a price of having Dark Tom again. And of course, we don't want that. Mind you, my question is, if we did have the ring back on and somehow Dark Tom reappeared and he did destroy Gargantua, would the beast still be around? I guess it kind of would be, because when the beast was dead or in its remains, it was still able to corrupt. So I guess in a way it could still do that. So, but yeah, I do like that moment. So of course Tom resists, and they manage to pull through. Yeah, I'll take that back. They don't pull through. Well, they kind of pull through, but it's only because of Epos's interference. It's like, yeah, so without that dark power, Tom would still lose the fight. But he did the right thing, saying no to it, because again, thanks to Elenna's efforts. So I think that was good character development for Tom and both Elenna, which we'll get to now. Elenna herself, very well handled in this book. She has her moment of healing Epos, of course, and then the big highlight is her trying to reface the Dark Tom and convince him what the right thing to do is. I am also, by the way, I do appreciate that Tom is the one to beat Carradine, of course. It, of course, is a shame that the villain gets taken out, but it may make sense for this one. But yeah, back to Elenna. Great that she manages to have to deal with Dark Tom again, and that moment right there where she's like, I would rather, it's not really explained in those terms, but you can understand what she's saying. She would rather face this beast by them natural selves, even though they're not strong enough to probably beat it. She'd rather face them that way than face Dark Tom again. So that is probably a good highlight for her character. Let's see. Of course, there's also Epos and Carradine. I'll go with Epos next. Epos, of course, this might be her last book, but you never know with Beast Quest. They'll probably find ways to return her for the fans. But at this point, if this is her last story, she went out on a high note. She came in mind controlled, but she managed to. She got injured. You thought she was done. She came back, helping our heroes at a dark time where they could have lost, and it ends with a big noble sacrifice. And that sacrifice didn't prove to be in vain, as it did get rid of Gargantua and the Dark Ring as well. So, if this is the end for Epos, she went out on a bang, literally. But there is a hint that she might be returning, or she might have an heir. So I'm curious to see how that progresses. And I'm wondering about the healing talent, if it'll still work or not. So we'll see. And of course, on to Carradine himself. Now this is where I'll go into my portion about how we originally thought this was going to be. That Adam and I thought that'd be like, oh, this is a puppet master thing, and it kind of is. But throughout the series, it's more of inclined that it's like Carradine in the driver's seat, as it's his personal. While he has the dark power, he's making the decisions to do what to do with the dark power. However, in the final book, it's back to Gargantua being in the driver's seat, like, yes, do this. It's like, so she's giving the evil vibes, but it's the person, whoever's wielding the ring, making the choices. Well, that's what we got of Carradine. But when Tom himself was possessed by the dark power, he was more of like, how I put this, more mind controlled, because he was doing decisions that he wouldn't do, whereas he would try to kill Elenna, which is something Tom would not do. So that was more Gargantua controlling, I guess when she felt that Tom was a more noble heart, she had to take more control over him than whereas Carradine, it was more like Carradine was in the driver's seat, but it was, she helped assist with the dark power. So like Carradine wanted, I could see Carradine wanting certain things done his way, but he was more a little hinted, but Tom felt a bit more mind controlled in order to get things done. Hopefully that makes sense. So it was sad to see Carradine go, but overall he had a good final fight, and he was one of the better villains in my mind of Beast Quest. What abilities he had, and I would say it is a shame that we didn't get to see, because like they said in previous books that he's able to he's able to weaken our hero's confidence, he's able to gain the beast's abilities from their fights, and we really don't actually see that play out in the finale, which is a damn shame. But on the other hand, we'll move on to the next mount, which is Gargantua, the temptation snake beast, which of course, not only is it tough to beat, it's also of course this temptation of darkness that will reminds Tom of the darkness that he once was, and Gargantua helps progress every character, the heroes, the villain, and of course Epos itself. So in a way, Gargantua, because of Gargantua, you're able to develop Tom, you're able to develop Elenna and Carradine himself to make him more evil, and of course it gives Epos the strength to rise above it, the oppressor, in this case. So overall, Gargantua made everyone else more impactful in this. And as for the beast herself, she is quite a powerhouse. She does take quite a beating to take down. And overall, I think she proved I'm not going to say much about the fight stuff because again, that's Adam Fern's career and job. Well, not his career, but it's his role in these Quest books. So I won't be saying much on that part. And I believe he's got his review already up. So, anyway though, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed my review on Gargantua, the Silent Assassin. Even though I don't really get the vibe that it's a silent assassin, there were better names in this book, like the Iron Serpent, which is probably a more fitting title. But still, I had fun with this one. And I do look forward to the next series, Series 28, which I did pre-order. And that is Series 28, The New Adventurers. Which implies that it's going to be new characters for the next series, which is a shame because we do like our original ones, but I'm curious to see what we get. So, thank you for watching, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Till next time, peace out.